We've got Moby with us right now. We're talking about glasses. Now, you wear glasses.
I do wear glasses.
Have you, I love, and I've told you this before, I love seeing babies with glasses. Is that weird?
No, I think it's cute and funny.
I think it's so adorable. But how can you tell if a baby can't see? And better yet, how do you know if these glasses are right for that baby?
Yeah, how do you give a baby an eye chart?
How do you give a baby an eye chart?
Like, do you give them like a picture of like a nipple and say like, when is the nipple in focus? Like,
okay. How long have you worn glasses?
I got my first pair of glasses when I was 19. But before I got my glasses, I didn't know that I had bad vision.
Right.
And I remember putting on my glasses and all of a sudden I looked at the world and I was like, there's detail to things. Like I had no idea that like trees had leaves that weren't just this soft swath of green.
Yes.
Because like leaves have detail. And I could look down the street and I could see the house at the end of my street.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like the opposite of being really fucked up.
Right.
Like it was like something like all of a sudden the world had clarity.
Right. And then the love of nipples came into play.
The love of nipples had always been there.
Yeah.
Male and female.
Whenever you could see them, you see a nipple and you're there.
Suck it.
Yeah, superfluous or not.
Yeah.
The last time we saw each other, I got blown.
You got blown.
Pretty hardcore.
You got really hardcore. You were a wreck afterwards, actually. Mm-hmm. You were a wreck.
I was just thought my face was all destroyed.
Yeah,
well, that happens after a good blow.
Listen, as it should be.
Yes,
know?
amen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
In my mind, it was just like yesterday.
It seems like just yesterday. Just like yesterday.
Also, because we did it, and I had a picture of myself getting blown.
That's right.
And I wanted to put it up on the internet machine.
Uh-huh.
And the nice people at World of Wonder told me I couldn't. And that's so there was the experience of being blown. But then nowadays things only exist if they exist on social media.
Yeah,
and I was able to put it up there like a few months ago.
Right.
And so that's when it became real. Like it wasn't a real experience until I was able to like share a picture of it.
Right.
Well, it doesn't nothing
validated.
Exactly, because things don't really exist until they're up on the World Wide Weave. But you held on to it for that long?
Yeah, because then David at World of Wonder asked me to hold off posting it, and I was like, I have to respect that.
That was like 5 years ago, or something like that.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
I hold on to things.
So you're on Twitter, you're on Tweeter, you're on
all of them.
Tutor,
and use Tootie. Remember use Tootie?
Yeah, I love Tootie.
What was that? HSN?
HSN.
Was HSN
or was
home
it QVC?
shopping? I don't remember.
Tootie?
I think Tootie was QVC.
No, I was thinking of what's the show?
Facts of Life.
That too.
Yeah.
With Mrs. Garrison and Blair.
Mrs. Garrett.
Didn't Blair go on? Wait, I don't want to get this wrong. I get
Blair
confused.
came on, became the Bible
Christian,
thumper.
Yeah, she became like a homophobic,
right
wing,
but
crazy
who isn't
Christian.
Really? I mean, come on.
Deep down.
Is there anybody in this room right now who isn't?
Who's not a right wing homophobic?
I mean, come on.
Neo-Nazi Trump supporter? Yeah.
Well, so you got blown on our show, and I think everybody remembers that because you were such a great sport for doing that. Now, and you've always been at the forefront of different mediums and you've always been interested in, this is what the collective consciousness believes about Moby, is that you are always on the forefront of what's happening now, what the kids are doing, shaman, I'm bad,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, Michelle is actually on Grindr, I just found out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Just to talk, just to chat.
Just to make new friends.
Yeah, make friends.
See,
share some pics.
See, I sort of wonder, okay, so the Center for Disease Control?
I've heard of it.
The CDC.
So I want to see Center for Disease Control reports because I feel like with the advent of Grindr and what's the straight one again? Tinder.
Yes.
And Uber and Lyft and all these, I feel like STD rates must be skyrocketing. Like, can you imagine?
I'm sure.
If we were like, imagine you're like 24 living in LA and you're able to drink and you're on Grindr or Tinder and Uber, like it would just be this nonstop degenerate promiscuous fest. So I'm sure I want to see these statistics, whether STD rates are skyrocketing to the extent that I think they are.
Well, I read in the paper that they are, and that syphilis and gonorrhea are just through the roof, Moby, through the roof.
Actually,
because
everything's
of this.
gone up.
Is it?
Yeah, everything's gone up.
And also because like we were so, I was going to say scared straight, but that's a weird choice of idiom. But like we were terrified. The mid 80s into like the mid 90s were just terrifying.
Yes.
And ever since then, I feel like people aren't scared anymore.
I am. I am. I'm scared. I'm scared of, I pretend like I'm an open person who,
Right.
likes to shake hands with strangers and things. I don't. I really don't. I'm people weird me out. And I've learned how to put on an act successfully to make it seem like I'm an open, friendly person. But, and I think I am a little bit, but people scare me. They scare me.
Do you want to hear a disgusting story?
How disgusting is it? Poop or vomit?
The former.
What's the for? Oh, poop.
So, okay, I was doing a meet and greet backstage at a concert venue.
I don't
in
like
Atlanta.
where this
I
is
do.
going. You like where this is going?
Just because I do meet and greets every day. I want to know.
Okay, so I'm doing this meet and greet where you shake a bunch of hands, and I shook hands with this guy there's something a little off
Yes.
about him.
And you know
and I
right
shook
away.
his hand, and he looked at me, and he said, "I just stuck my finger in my ass."
Oh, boy.
While he's holding my hand, and he looks at me, and he said,
And was he dead serious?
and he said, "I'm not kidding." And I took my hand away. And I was like, what's wrong with
And
you?
did you say
What is
that?
wrong with
And he
Did you
just
say, why would you say?
And I just stood there, and he just walked away.
Yeah. Who would play him? Give me a picture.
Like, who did he look like?
Who
Who did he look
what
like?
actor?
Oh, he looked like the guy from Breaking Bad, not Walter White.
Yeah.
Aaron Paul?
Aaron Paul, like a sort of
right.
23-year-old hipstery kind,
Was it
long hair.
Was he
little-
hitting on you?
No, but I don't. Can I tell you the best pickup line I've ever heard?
I want to hear the best pick-up line you've ever heard.
And I think that after telling you the story, you might agree it's the single best pickup line that's ever been used on anyone ever.
Okay.
that
Okay.
sounds good.
So I was playing a show in Milwaukee, and I finished the show, and I walked out to my tour bus, and there was a man waiting by the tour bus, and this man said, "Hey, do you want to come with me? There's a great bar around the corner." I said, "No, I'm really sorry. I got to get on the bus and go to Chicago." He said, "Oh, come on. It's really fun. There's this great bar around the corner. Just come with me. We'll have a good night." And I said, "No, we have to drive to Chicago now." And he said, "Well, can we just go somewhere? I just want to go down on you." And I said, "That's so flattering, but I really have to get on the bus and leave." And here's the best pickup line of all
Okay,
time.
let's go.
He then looked me in the eye.
Although you had me at, I just want to go down
Yeah,
on you.
He looked
exactly.
me in the eye and he said, "I used to date Jeffrey Dahmer." And that was his way of trying to seal the deal.
That was the one.
And Chicago was...
And I was
be
like,
damned.
I was like,
I'm
"Oh,
staying.
tell me more, hot stuff."
Wow. So was Jeffrey Dahmer in the Milwaukee area?
I believe so, yes.
He was in the
I thought
Milwaukee-
everybody was from Ohio.
Well-
I think Jeffrey Dahmer was a very handsome man in Milwaukee. He just had the
Yes.
unfortunate tendency of like killing people and eating them.
Exactly.
It happens.
I mean, how many times have you said to yourself,
God, he looks delicious.
I want to take a bite out of that motherfucker.
God, he looks
You
good.
know, I mean, so that was a tour. How long ago was that?
This was about 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Do you still tour? Do you do things?
As little as possible.
Yeah.
Like, especially
yeah, he was
now-
from Wisconsin.
Yep.
Are
So-
you from Wisconsin?
No, I'm
No,
from
Jeffrey
Connecticut.
Dahmer's
Jeffrey
from
Dahmer's from
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
So you try to do it as little as possible now.
Yeah.
Because why?
It gets very repetitive.
Yeah.
Like being on tour, like even if it's nice, you're still like you're in airports and hotel rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done this as well. And like, especially now, I don't drink. Like touring before pre-sobriety was great. Like
Right.
you'd go on tour and you'd drink and just all sorts of degeneracy would happen. But now I go on tour and I can sit in a hotel room. And also, as time passes, you play smaller venues. You know, instead of selling 10,000 tickets, then you're selling 5,000 tickets. Then you're selling 2,500 tickets. And you're like, okay, so why do I keep doing this thing I don't like with
Right.
diminishing returns?
Because it's fun.
Well,
Staying home is way better.
yeah, and
know?
and you live here in LA now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just telling Michelle this. I don't drink or do drugs anymore, and I still live in New York. I live here, but in New York, being able to get drunk took the edge off of having everyone in the city's energy all over your body. I'd come home and I'd have to sort of wipe everyone's energy off
Literally
of my
and
body.
figuratively.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, yeah, exactly. And so, but without booze and drugs, it's very difficult to maintain that equilibrium. I have to do a lot of, coming down from that. How long have you been living out here?
I moved here 6 years ago.
6 years
I stopped
ago.
drinking about 8.5 years ago. But I know what you mean. Like, and that was the amazing thing about alcohol and drugs is you could walk into any environment, and if you were drunk and high, everything seemed okay.
Yeah.
Like The obnoxious people weren't as obnoxious.
Exactly.
The terrible music wasn't as bad. You know, like the soul-destroying one-night stand seemed kind of endearing.
Yeah, it was part of your, your life story, you know. But it's funny you say that because, drugs and alcohol helped me become more social. You know, it was so easy to walk up to somebody and says, got a joint? You want to get high? You want to, and it was so forgiving. It forgave so many sort of social sins, that things about people that you didn't like, well, at least they had good weed. You know what I mean?
You guys are so trusting with that, though. Like I see touring with the kids, how
Michelle just got off of how many weeks you were in
we
Europe?
were in Europe for 3.5 weeks.
who?
I had 5 days, and then we go back out till July.
The drag queens of our show, they do a world tour. What's it called? Bots.
Battle of the Seasons tour.
Yeah.
There's no battle.
And
Just to let you know, nobody wins. I win.
Everyone's a winner.
Every night.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
And what's when you go on tour? What's your official?
so I'm the host.
Yeah.
But I perform. About 4 numbers I perform. So
Fellatio.
many times.
You're a big showstopper.
Yeah, honey,
Yeah.
learn from the best.
Yeah.
But one thing that I find really interesting is how trusting we were talking about Scruff and Grinder, and these girls will hook up every single night.
Really?
Trust people coming into the hotel room, and some take illicit drugs. And what I found over the years and hanging out at Robots over the years, in the world and back when we did, I
Robots.
know in New York. And I mean, that's where Rue and I first met. And what's amazing to me is how trusting people are with their drugs.
Right.
People will take drugs from anybody, not knowing them, not having a background. They could get the bad shit and not knowing what they're being given.
Right.
And just do it anyway.
Do you want to hear the most trusting drug experience I ever had? Do you remember Max Fish?
That name sounds familiar.
It was this disgusting bar on Ludlow Street. It just closed recently. I think it's being turned into like a Bank of America.
Vaguely.
Or Baby
So-
Gap. I think it's a Baby Gap now. Yeah.
And it was
Gracious home.
a really nasty dive bar.
Yeah.
And there was a Sunday night, 3:00 in the morning, and I was in there and I was very drunk. And it was like one of those like CBGB style bathrooms. They're
Right.
just like disgusting. And as I was peeing, I saw a little baggie behind the toilet on the floor.
And you thought that'd be a great time to pick it up and
And I
take it.
picked it up, brought it back to my table, and did whatever was in it without even thinking about it.
Right,
So I was like, it's a
right.
bag of drugs. Of course I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just ended up being cocaine. Like I was like, who knows what I'm doing? It's like neurological.
Why is that unfortunate?
Because I wanted it to be something different. I was
Like
I was-
Molly or something
or
fun.
heroin or whatever. I was like, cocaine was nice, but I was like, oh, okay, so now I'm going to be up until 10:00 in the morning instead of like dying.
Right.
Was it?
Dying seemed a little more interesting, but like that trust of like, I've just handed over my life, my neurochemistry,
Yep.
my well-being to a bag of drugs
Behind a toilet.
dropped behind a toilet
In
at
a
3:00 in the
shit
morning in a dive bar.
That's what I mean. And I see these kids and I see what happens. And it's like, I was in Toronto or wherever we were doing it last year. And I walked out and I was going to the bus to go back to the hotel when they were all going to stay and party. And these 3 boys came over to me. They're like, oh my God, I love the show. You should come out. And I was like, oh no, I'm good. They go, take this. And it was a baggie, a little tiny baggie filled with these little pieces of paper with iron crosses on them. And I was like,
It's like a white supremacist drug.
I don't know. It sounds like it. I was like, white supremacist MDMA. I was like, what do I do with this? And I was like, I don't want this. Do I make pictures with it? Like, what do I do? And they were like, no, that's for you. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but I don't want it.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to be how free people are with taking and giving of
but
the
listen,
drug.
you order online, you order things online. How different is that from giving your credit
ordering
card
an outfit
number?
from off Fifth versus taking drugs behind a toilet in a shithole bar is a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly. Like a pillow on Etsy with like a cute picture of a pine tree is different.
Then popping some iron cross pills. I could get a rash at the most from bad fabric.
That's true. Now we're going to take a quick break, but I just want to find out, was it good cocaine?
It was okay.
It was
also a
okay.
little disappointing. Like I wanted it to be like back when I used to do a lot of ecstasy, I would always chew my ecstasy.
Chew it.
Chew it.
Chew it.
What do you mean?
I-
How else do you take it?
You would swallow it. But I would chew it so that way I would sort of get a sense of what was in it. And every now and then I would chew a pill and it would taste like something I'd never had before.
Right.
And I'd be like, oh, what's this going to do? Like
Oh
it's,
my God.
again, like
You guys
drug
are
roulette.
insane.
Well, listen, we're going to take...
This is also why we're sober.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about bootleg Quaaludes. So stay with us.
Okay.
Oh, child, I love that Casper mattress, honey.
My favorite thing in the world.
And you were just on the road and you missed
Honey,
it, didn't you?
Let me tell you something. All I think about when I'm away in these awful hotel beds is my Casper mattress.
Yeah.
And I have a heated blanket on top of it.
Ooh.
So I put my Casper mattress, my heated blanket, and I just cuddle into that thing, and it is heaven. Heaven.
I'm sure, listen, Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price. And you get $50 toward any mattress purchase by visiting Casper.com/Rue. That's right. Use that offer code, honey. Use it so you can get you a beautiful mattress and you can talk about it like Michelle.
Honey, people ask me at this, do you really, I swear to God, it came in a box, just like my husband. And then I opened it up. And my life has never been the same since then. The offer code is RU.
That's right. What y'all waiting for? Go to Casper.com/RU. Let's talk about money.
I love it.
Everybody loves money, but most people don't know what to do with their money.
I know I didn't.
The people who I know who have money, they invest and they go to wealth management firms, but they have to pay like 1% of their whole portfolio.
Which ends up being a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the case here at Wealthfront. Wealthfront is an automated investment service with nearly $3 billion in client assets under their management. They make it so easy for anyone to get access to sophisticated, diversified, long-term investment portfolios without all the high fees. That sounds so sexy, doesn't it? I love the idea. Make your money work for you. Go to wealthfront.com/RU and get going with a great portfolio.
And you just said it. Get your money to work for you.
You've got to. That's the ticket, guys. And, for our listeners, Wealthfront is doing something very special. Go to wealthfront.com/Rue and get your first $15,000 managed for free. Where do they go, Michelle?
Wealthfront.com/RU, y'all.
All right, we are back talking with Moby. We're talking about the good old days.
Of drugs and panic attacks.
Listen, and I've said this. I've been sober for, I don't even know how long it's been.
It's been a long time now.
Maybe it's in August, it'll be 17 years, I think. I've lost track. But I was a druggie my whole life. From the time from 10 years old.
Me too.
From 10 years old.
I started at 10.
10 years old. Because you grew up where?
I was born on 168th Street. And I grew up in Connecticut, poor white trash, and then moved back to the city, Lower East Side, in like the mid-'80s.
I see. Well, the thing about it is it enabled me, it sort of carried me over this area of consciousness that was very scary. It was a good thing for me for a long time. And then quickly it turned into something very bad. So I had a long, good history of doing drugs and alcohol. It was a great time. I had a great time.
It was a protector of sorts.
Also, was it during a time, I was 10 years old in 1971.
And weed was the first drug you tried.
Weed was the first drug. But in San Diego back then, people were doing Red Devils. And what was the blue one called? They were Bennies or Dexies? I don't remember.
Yeah, Dexies, Bennies, Black Beauties, etc.
I did Black Beauty.
You did a Black Beauty.
Once. That was speed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once.
And
girl sold it to me in the bathroom before I took the PSATs.
And how well did you do on the test?
I made butterflies with the circles, and I had to get tutored for 6 months and take it all over. And I was just like, ooh.
And then all of a sudden, like the short bus shows up at your house.
Yeah, totally. I was like, one and only time I ever did a drug, it was Black Beauty. The last thing I ever needed to do was speed.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
I should have done a downer.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, I remember being at the clubs and stuff, and somebody would say, open your mouth. And I go, okay. And, there you go. But no regrets. No regrets, you know.
I mean, here's the thing. We're still here. We don't have facial tattoos.
Right.
We're able to string sentences together. Like things have worked out. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
You're lucky ones.
Yeah.
Because it could have gone, with the way that you guys were balls deep in drugs, it could have gone bad.
Yeah, I mean, if I could tell you how many cars of strangers I got into.
I did, and I was sober, but that was just for sex. And I didn't mind the soul-destroying one-night stands. I encouraged
They
them.
have a place.
Yeah, and you got out of that car with extra cash. So that's different.
Somehow I did. And a good boning.
It's like alchemy.
Win-win.
Yeah. It's like you turned, the backseat of a car
into a palace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Into
you're
a
like
cash cow.
you're like You're like a magician.
I am
Yeah.
a horror
Yes, the
magician.
alchemist,
Yeah.
exactly. I love that.
I am.
Yeah. Well, so you moved to the Lower East Side in the mid '80s.
Yeah, so I was born on 168th Street, in
Right, which is
Harlem.
what? What is that? Is that
Still Harlem,
Washington
I think.
Heights?
Harlem. Yeah,
No,
I
it's
mean-
not. I think Washington Heights starts a little bit higher.
Yeah, we left Harlem when I was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Moved to San Francisco in 1969.
You have hippie parents?
Well, my dad died when I was 2.
Right.
So then my mom took me to San Francisco because she was chasing the hippie dream.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So we were saying like earlier, I did drugs for the first time when I was 10.
Right.
But the first X-rated movie I saw, I was 3.
Really?
My mom and her friends took acid and snuck me in to an X-rated movie when I was 3 years old.
What was the movie? Do you remember?
Myra Breckenridge.
Oh, Myra Breckenridge. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Raquel Welch.
I don't remember it, but
Yeah.
I do remember being in the parking lot and them like they put me under their coat and said like, "Shh, we're sneaking you in."
You remember that?
Do you
Yeah.
remember
Wow.
any of the movie?
No.
No. Yeah. Because I have a similar story. My mother she wanted to see Valley of the Dolls, and this is years after. But it was unfortunately it was playing with Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. It was drive-in, and I remember being so twisted by that movie, seeing it for years afterwards, for many years afterwards. You remember Beyond the Valley of the Dolls?
No, I know Valley of the Dolls.
Yeah.
Jackie
That was
Suzanne.
the follow-up.
Right. Russ Myers did the Beyond the Valley
nice.
of the Dolls.
That was written by
Roger Ebert,
Yeah.
yes. Actually, Myra Breckenridge, do you know who Myra Breckenridge was written by?
No.
Rex Reed.
Really?
Wow.
Yes, Rex
Huh.
Reed wrote, that's hard to say. Rex Reed wrote Myra Breckenridge.
That is a tough one.
How many R's was that?
That was a
a
lot.
lot
That was
of
actually
R's.
your ultimate.
Yeah, because
That
I'm
was it.
terrible at that.
That was the winner.
Can I say it again?
Yeah.
Let me hear you say it.
Rex Reed wrote Myra Breckenridge.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
I'm gonna,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Rex Reed wrote Myra Breckenridge. Rex Reed
Yeah.
wrote Myra Breckenridge. Rex Reed wrote Myra Breckenridge.
Yeah, it starts to go.
Oh, my God, that's good. I'm going to keep that one. I'm going to save that one for
Okay.
some other
So,
people.
so you're 3 years old and you go to see a Russ Meyer movie.
Well, I was 9 at this point because
so
it was
you were-
1970.
So you were already an adult.
I was an adult at that point. Yes, and actually, around 71, we saw my brother-in-law's mother and father were friends with this couple, and the guy was a screenwriter, and he had just written a Vincent Price movie called The Return of Dr. Phibes. It's the sequel to Dr. Phibes. I don't remember.
There was a whole Dr. Phibes.
Yeah, it was a whole Dr.
series,
Phibes thing, yeah. And we saw that movie, and I swear to you, I think for probably 2 years after that, I was freaked out from. I don't think it's called The Return of, but it's like Dr. Phibes Rides Again or something like that.
I think every kid has a movie that sticks with them. Mine was Invasion of the Body Snatchers that like ruins their head because they saw it too soon.
I had a
Yeah.
bunch. For me, Jaws was a big one.
Yeah.
The
I
original
saw Jaws, and I was afraid to get in any body of water for the next 20 years.
I still like
Wow.
it.
Literally
Oh.
pools.
Yeah.
Really?
I was convinced.
too.
I was convinced that through like some magic, a great white shark could
Right.
appear in a pool.
I don't blame
and
you.
eat me. Like I was so scared of
It's
water.
plausible.
Or do you remember? Like there were always those sort of B horror movies on at 11 o'clock on
Yeah,
a Saturday
like The
night.
Blob and things like that.
And
yeah.
some of them, like Let's Scare Jessica to Death.
Oh, I love that one. I
And-
love that one.
But when you're like 7 or 8 years old watching it, or
Salem's Lot did that to me too.
or the Sentinel. Did you ever see
Oh
that?
yes,
And these-
yes.
Children should not, especially
No.
like super sensitive, impressionable
Right.
children like me.
Right.
Like the next 3 days, I just wouldn't sleep.
Because you're an
Yeah.
only child.
Yeah,
Only child, and so your mom she dragged you back and forth across the
we
country.
moved to San Francisco, then moved to Connecticut,
Yeah.
where she had grown up, and I grew up in one of the most affluent towns
Well, like
in the
Greenwich?
world,
Where?
Darien.
Oh, Darien Dinner Theater. Oh,
Yeah, Darien Dinner
yes.
Theater. I saw Man of La Mancha there, and it
Yes.
changed my life.
Aldonza the Horse, my role model.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
let
we
me
were-
guess. Was
but-
it Buddy Hackett in Man of La Mancha?
Sadly, Buddy Hackett was aspirational for Darien Dinner Theater. But we grew up poor white trash in Darien, Connecticut. We were on welfare and food stamps until I was 18. So until I was 18, I'd never met another poor person.
Wow.
Well, living in Darien, how would
Wow.
you?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. And so she was this sort of free spirit, Is she still with us?
No, she died. She had been a cigarette smoker and she died of lung cancer about 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Wow. And did you like her? Do you have a good relationship with her?
She was a very complicated lady.
Well, who isn't?
Um, Like when she was feeling confident and whatever, she was my best friend and she was smart and funny and caring. But then the dark side was there, like drugs, and she dated a lot of Hell's Angels.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of coming down to the kitchen at 2:00 in the morning when I was 6 years old, trying to get the Hell's Angel to stop stabbing her to death.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
Yeah,
Oh my
but I'm-
God.
You went and lived through a lot of things you
I'm
shouldn't
totally well adjusted at this point.
Yeah.
have. God
Yeah.
almighty.
I don't have panic attacks, or
No,
I'm not
no.
incapable of sleeping. What are you trying to suggest?
Who would play her? Jill Clayburgh?
Why
Who
Jill
would
Clayburgh?
play
I know,
her?
man. It's the first thing I thought of. Jill Clayburgh.
That's a good question. Who would play her? Goldie Hawn.
Oh, I love
wow.
Goldie Hawn.
But it would be like Goldie Hawn's one, what's her name? The amazing actress who was just on House of Cards.
Oh, Diane Weiss? No.
I love Diane Weiss.
She's older now. She was also in Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, yeah.
the one who looks like
yeah,
Diane
no,
Weiss.
it's I got this. It's it doesn't live here anymore. Alice
Yeah.
doesn't live. I see her face.
We know who we're. Her.
Ellen Burstyn.
Ellen Burstyn. So
Yeah.
Ellen Burstyn
She's
would
fucking brilliant.
would play my mom. Yeah.
Ellen
Oh,
Burstyn.
and where was she from?
My mom
Yeah.
was born in San Diego.
What?
Yep, and then grew up in Connecticut because her dad, my grandfather, had been in the Marines, and I guess there's a Marine base.
It's
in
Camp
San Diego.
Pendleton, yeah.
So she was born
Huge
at
one.
Camp Hamilton.
Camp Pendleton. Yes.
Pendleton, yeah.
I'm from San Diego.
I know.
Yes. And so she was but she got to see your success.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I had I started making records under my own name in around 1990.
What is your own name?
Oh, my legal name's Richard Melville Hall,
Uh-huh.
but my nickname has been Moby since I was born because
Where did that come
I'm
from?
related to Herman Melville.
I was just about to
Oh.
ask. Yeah.
So as a joke, my parents nicknamed me Moby when I was born.
That is
And then
brilliant.
fast forward decades, and I'm still saddled with my infant joke nickname.
Have you gone up to his
Yes.
place? Like I went to his place up in the Adirondacks.
I haven't been up
Melville.
there.
It's pretty amazing.
Wow. And he was a distant, how was he related?
Great grand uncle,
Wow.
Great.
according to my parents. But then again, they lied a lot, so maybe
Yeah, well,
I'm not
no,
really. Yeah.
everybody lies. It's, the truth. The lies are more interesting than the actual truth. So she got to see some of your success.
She died in '98, and the bigger records I put out came out in '99, 2001, 2003. So
My husband was obsessed with play. Obsessed when I first met him, which was my husband I met in 96 or 97. He was obsessed with Moby's music over and over. And I was like, oh, this is a guy that I could get with because he's sensitive. He's not your regular guy. Like he can get into all types of music.
Well, it's interesting because your music is changed. It's always evolving. Last night I listened to the Hotel Ambient, which is at this stage in my life what I want to hear. You know what I mean?
It's very calming.
It's calming,
The
but
world
it's
is a very challenging place.
But it's
It is a
complex
challenge.
as well.
It's complex. The world is a challenging place, but somehow I find myself listening to instrumental dance music, jazz, and ambient soundtracks. You know,
I
that kind of thing.
listen to a lot of quiet classical music. Where
Really?
it's just nice to have music that sits in the background,
Right.
and just is calm and pretty and doesn't demand too much of me.
Right. Where you don't have to get into pesky lyrics
Yeah.
talking about
Well,
things.
I'm out.
You know, right? Because Michelle's a music
All I listen
theater.
to is show tunes.
She's obsessed with Hamilton.
at the moment.
So Bernie Sanders just did probably the smartest thing of his entire
was
campaign.
brilliant. It was brilliant.
He had a night off and he took his wife to go see Hamilton.
of course, yeah,
And the whole place went
Brilliant.
up.
Yeah.
Like, they went ape shit.
it's very
I
smart.
saw the
move.
picture and I was like, wow, that's so smart. I
Yeah.
can't even believe it.
Well, politics.
How do
is,
you get tickets, you think? Just kidding.
this being a politician, I saw something on John Oliver the other night where he says that for Congress people, about I'm just paraphrasing, about 60% of their time is spent trying to build fundraising.
Yeah, so I saw that John Oliver as well.
60%
Yeah.
Exhausting.
of fundraising. So how effective can you be as a politician? And just the whole game of politics. This is like the music business where you have to talk about the backseat of cars. You have to get those funds wherever you can. You have to give hand jobs to just anybody. Forget, a piece of some cocaine behind a stove.
bathroom.
You should be so lucky.
Yeah.
To have
should
just
be
cocaine
so
behind
lucky.
the urinal.
It is heartbreaking that the political status quo that we all accept is that politicians take money from corporations, and so they work for corporations. And everyone just sort of knows that and accepts it. So a politician campaigns, says a few nice things to get elected, and then immediately goes to work for corporations. And it's just that's sad, but it's just sad that none of us challenge it.
Well, it's the only country really that does it, isn't it?
Most other countries have very strict laws that keep private money out of politics.
Yeah, smart. That's smart.
What do you give me? A 5? Was that 10 minutes or
looks like
5 minutes? Was that 5 minutes?
Or is he just...
I was saying hi.
He just was feeling lonely.
5 minutes.
I'm always drawn to these shows or art that looks behind the curtain, like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Like the show Scandal and House of Cards you talked about, where you get to see the underworkings of what's really happening. And from where I stand, and ever since I was a kid, I was always intrigued and always understood that the real story is much more interesting than what you see on the surface. So, with politics, I don't take politics that seriously. I think that real change, real movement happens on an emotional level with people
toilet.
and in a toilet stall,
Yeah.
the backseat of a car again.
Yeah.
But it happens on, there's a collective movement. Not talking bowels here.
Right.
There's a collective something that's happening, and that's where real change happens.
And the best thing a politician can do is sort of legislate something good that's already happened in the public consciousness. Like gay marriage is a perfect example. Like clearly politicians did not advance the cause of gay marriage. They were just responding to like this change in the zeitgeist.
Right.
Or even civil rights. When civil rights legislation was passed, like the politicians didn't want to do it. They had to.
Right.
And by the time, I'm not going to get too deep in it, but with the whole thing, even with slavery, how that had been going on for so much longer than people giving Abraham Lincoln it wasn't him. It'd been going on since Alexander Hamilton.
Right.
He started speaking out against slavery, and it goes on over the years. So you're right. It's not, they didn't create it. They kind of made it happen.
Exactly. It's like with Madonna and voguing. Right?
Correct.
It's the exact same thing.
It was already there.
It was already there.
It already had her.
It had already had it.
Yes.
It was funny. So I'm putting out a memoir in a month.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called Porcelain.
Ooh.
And it starts in 1989 when I first moved to New York. In 1989, I was living in an abandoned factory in a crack neighborhood, and I was making $5,000 a year. And then I moved to New York and started DJing at Mars. Do you remember Mars?
Of course.
Do I remember Mars?
Funny.
The R in Mars stands for RuPaul.
So there was, and I don't know how you feel
And
about
the
him.
M is for Michelle.
Yeah. So maybe this is a bad thing to say, but there's one chapter in the book where I was DJing and Madonna's Vogue had just come out. And all the houses from uptown were coming down to Mars on Friday nights and voguing. And so there's this chapter in the book where I'm talking about playing Vogue, and I looked across the dance floor and Willie Ninja was there. And the busboy lost his mind because the busboy was this beautiful drag queen and Willie Ninja was like her god. And then I played, you remember MFSB, Love is the Message?
Oh, yeah.
That's the voguing song, honey.
And I played it, and Willie Ninja looked across the dance floor and smiled at me, and I was like, I think I'm in love. I've never even talked to him or met him, but in that moment, it was just this moment of like connection.
Wow.
amazing.
Oh, the
And
music.
I don't know, maybe you hate Willie Ninja. I've never met
No,
him.
I
Maybe
love
Willie
he's
was
like,
amazing.
I
Okay.
loved Willie. He was great. He was
one of my
great.
mentors. He was
Yeah, there was this
unbelievable.
picture of us that just surfaced on the
Of you and Willie?
Worldwide Weave of us together. It was after Wigstock of 1990 or something.
probably one of the last ones at the band show.
Well, actually, this one, 1990.
That's when Christopher Street Pier is down there.
Oh,
because I was there.
No, this is what it was. It had to have been 91 because it was at Union Square in 91. 91. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more Moby. Casper mattresses, man, oh man. Wow, what a great product.
I have to tell you.
It is fantastic. Now, Casper, for those of you who don't know, is an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price. That's right. And you get $50 toward any mattress purchase by going to casper.com/RU. That's the offer code, are you?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Seriously, mattresses are stupid expensive for actually no apparent reason.
Yeah, you
because
go
I
to-
see a lot of them on the side of the road.
Yes, you do.
I mean, why not take that one?
well, this one is Casper.
That's
is,
what I'm saying.
is much, much better than that.
Then the side of the road mattress.
Yes,
I'm saying
ma'am.
people spend $10,000 and they just dump it on the side of the road. Casper mattress, you will never dump.
Right. Listen, most people go to department stores or these other big retailers.
Mattress
and
retailers.
They're so overpriced.
Redonk.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You want to go to Casper.com/Rue and use that offer code, baby, so you can get set up. How much time do we spend in a mattress in our lives? Half our lives, right? Or
Well,
if some are
if you're
lucky.
me, more.
Yeah.
But the good thing about it is they have this hybrid mattress, because I told you before, and I've talked about this, I was a coil girl my whole life, and then you start getting the
ridges.
and then on top the pillow top, and you're like, oh, you don't know. The good thing about the Casper is it combines the premium latex foam with memory foam, so you're not committing to full Tempur-Pedic, and you're not going back to the other old school. Ow, this is sticking in my back. It is unbelievable, and unlike the plastic surgery of most of our queens, these mattresses are American made.
That's right. That's right.
That was comedy.
That's comedy, and it's you know what? It's the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the truth.
It's not Tijuana.
No, ma'am. No, this is American made. These are high quality mattresses.
And Rue, you can try sleeping on one for 100 days, like Rumpelstiltskin. You get free delivery, painless returns, 100% risk-free. What are you waiting for? Go have fun for 100 days. Check it out. Get $50 toward any mattress purchase right now by visiting Casper.com/Rue. Use that offer code RU. Terms and conditions may apply, but don't you worry about it. Casper got you. Casper.com/Rue, and change the way you sleep forever.
That's right. Take it from RuPaul Stillskin.
Oh, spinning some gold on her mattress. Oh, God.
Well, what's funny about you, we're talking with Moby, you're talking about New York nightlife. You got a new book coming out called Porcelain. You know, we're talking about New York nightlife. At that time, I would go to 6 clubs in one night.
Easily.
Mm-hmm. 6 clubs in one night, different clubs, and you'd see uptown, downtown, black, white, gay, straight, everybody was together, you know?
Yep.
It was crazy. And so you DJ'd at Mars. What other clubs did you DJ?
Mars, Red Zone.
Red Zone. What was that guy's name? He was
Stephen
French.
Lewis.
No, that was the promoter. What was that guy who owned it? And him and his wife.
I forget. Well, there's Rudolph, who
It was
owned
Rudolph.
Mars.
That was Jerry.
And then there was Peter Gation.
Right.
Peter
Red
Gation.
Limelight.
Right. No, but
That was
there
Limelight.
There was a
I know you're talking
French
about.
guy who owned Red Zone. Can we tell you? First time I remember seeing Michelle was at Red Zone. She was in a group called Seduction, and she
You were in
Clavillis
Seduction?
Yeah, Clavis and Cole. And
I love Seduction.
They were
wow. I had no idea. I'm in the presence of royalty.
Yes.
I remember when what's the?
It takes two to make it. Oh, that's Fascination. That's B Company.
No,
B.
Company B.
Company B.
I thought
I'm
that was.
fascinated by your love,
Yeah,
boy.
no, that's Company
I thought
B.
that. Okay,
No, we
Seduction.
did the remake of Heartbeat.
Heartbeat, yeah, the Peach Boys.
Thing go
But-
right.
and-
It takes 2 to make it
But also,
out.
and okay, so I
Heartbeat.
apologize. I thought it was. So I remember Heartbeat, of course.
Yeah.
Which was a Peach Boys song, right?
It was
No,
Tanya
it was
Gardner.
Tanya Gardner.
Gardner,
We
that's
did the
right.
remake.
Yeah.
And I remember playing that a lot.
And we also did You're My One and Only.
Yeah.
My one and only true love. True love.
That one.
And
Love
I think
that.
was there a David Morales remix?
David.
of that?
Oh,
They
yeah.
produced all
yes,
of those.
David Morales
Yeah.
always. David Cole.
Speaking,
David Cole,
Clavillis,
yeah.
Clavillis and Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Morales and
Speaking of Red Zone.
Hex Hector.
Yeah. Red
Because
Zone.
Red Zone was sort of David Morales's.
Yes.
home.
David was
And-
instrumental.
And that was kind of, for a while there, the only club north of like 23rd Street.
Right.
Because like, so I'd make. Cause I remember like making the trek up there.
I met
Right.
Puffy at Red Zone.
Really?
Because Puffy had this dating game that he would do. And he had upstairs, he had a partner named Jessica, this Jewish girl that he was partners with. And they had the upstairs was Puffy's house. And the Red Zone would be downstairs in the regular party. And then you'd go upstairs for Puffy's house. And that's where I first met him. And that's how he started, like, as a club promoter.
Wow.
And it was always at the Red Zone nights.
Well, I saw Michelle sauntering across the dance floor at Red Zone, and she had on this tight skirt that was so that her knees were constricted. And Lincoln Palsgrove III, do you remember him? He was the club promoter that night.
Vaguely.
Anyway, he was escorting her across, cat-a-corner, across the dance floor as she was doing this little kitten walk, like with her knee. It was brilliant. I thought, that girl is going to be my friend.
But I had met you years before. You just don't remember because you're too fucked up to remember.
No, I know. From the Love Ball. Love Ball
I even
at
remember
Rose.
being at Copa and being in the dressing room, especially the night that Channel 5 was there.
Yeah.
With Robin, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Robin Bird.
No. I wish it was Robin Bird.
Okay.
The news, not Robin Clark, but you know what I'm talking about. She was on Channel 5.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, she did an interview on Voguing, so she was talking to us. And I remember being in the dressing room. You walked in, you're like, "Hey, girl," and just walked out with your drink in your hand. I was like, "Hey," like it was always that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was just like, "I see you, I see you."
Right.
And then you spend the night pulling shit out of Lady Hennessy's pussy. And that'd be the end of the night.
Do you remember Lady Hennessy? Did you ever go to Copa with Suzanne Barsh Copa?
Yeah, I remember. Suzanne and her beautiful husband,
David Barton.
No, but that was before Ty.
Yeah.
Ty.
Ty.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember actually going to Roseland for the Love Ball.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ty moved to Miami with that Sally. She was the door person at, Sally Randall?
I know, yeah.
Was it Sally Randall?
Yeah.
Did that just come to my head?
Yeah, you don't remember anything. I don't know.
How did that get in there? Sally Randall.
Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at like Paper Magazine circa 1989.
And that's exactly what it was.
I can't believe I pulled Sally Randall because I've never thought of that name. I haven't thought of that name in probably 20 years.
Because there was that period when like the door person, whether it's like
Kenny.
Yeah, the door person was the most important.
They were the shit.
Yes.
So it was Kenny, it was Diane Brill, it was Julie Jules, it was all those people that you had to get through.
Diane Brill.
Yes.
I love Diane Brill.
Amazing.
Yeah. Actually, I saw her just a few months ago.
Yeah.
So you're DJ. So you've written this book. What have you finished the book?
The book's coming out in May.
So it's done.
Wait a minute.
It's all done. This May.
This May.
In like tomorrow.
So what was the most gut-wrenching part of writing this book?
The most gut-wrenching part.
I mean, did you write it yourself?
Yeah, I wrote it myself. I wanted to get someone else to write it for me. And then my literary agent said, you're related to Herman Melville. You kind of have to write. He said, you have to write your own book.
Hilarious. That's true.
And so the most gut-wrenching part is actually writing about, my mom died towards the end of the book, or the period that I'm writing about. That was the hardest part. Because I realized, and maybe this is a bit too intimate and personal, but like when we grieve for someone, like grief is super complicated. And one of the hardest parts of grief is when you're grieving for someone who's had what they thought was a compromised life. So the sadness, not that you miss them, but you realize they didn't have the life that they waned to have.
I know.
So writing that was the hardest part.
Or what they deserved.
Yeah.
So do you agree with that? Do you think she had a life that was compromised, or did she think she had a life that was compromised?
She had always wanted to be a free-spirited bohemian artist, and instead she ended up living like we were very poor, living in the suburbs, and I just don't think that's how she'd wanted her life to be.
Right.
And so she was really disappointed. But I think that my friends and I were talking about this earlier. Like we all have the ability to either like we can interpret our lives however we want.
Yes.
Like I'm sure we all know lots of like super wealthy, successful people who are crazy and miserable.
Yes.
Like people who have everything that anyone could ever possibly want. I'm not going to name names because I don't need more enemies. But like people are just so miserable, even though they've had more success, but they've never had like what they think of as like the right, perfect success.
Right.
And then we probably know lots of people who haven't had a lot of success are actually just pretty happy.
Right. Or the people from the East Village who we came up with who were brilliant artists who could not make that jump above 14th Street, metaphorically speaking, in terms of, see themselves as a starving artist or see themselves as a suffering person. Like my mother, she was world weary. She just she had an axe to grind with the world. She felt the world was uncool to her. But she couldn't divorce herself from her own personal her perception of herself as that person. That's why I asked if it was true about your mother. Was that true, or was that her own making?
I mean, I think there was. I mean, we were very poor. She did a bunch of jobs that she didn't like very much. So there were ways that she could quasi-legitimately beat herself up. But at the same time, like she had like loving friends, loving family, creative son, etc. Like there was good stuff as well. And it's sort of like where we put our attention. Like even now, like I can focus on like the things that I haven't achieved or, the people who've done me wrong. And like, what do I get for that?
Nothing.
Just disappointment and sadness.
It's a waste of time.
Like put your attention on things that actually are sort of like affirming and self-supporting. And it just, even though it's work to do that, the opposite is you just live a life of bitterness and resentment and regret. And I've seen enough people do that,
Right.
regardless of their socioeconomic status, and I just don't feel the need to go down that path.
Now, with your success and obviously starting in the East Village and, DJing, working your way up, how have you been able to navigate all of the kids back in the old neighborhood who said, I knew him when he was, and she ain't,
who she thinks she
what
is?
the hell? And she was all up in here. I knew her. She was taking drugs from behind the urinal.
You know what?
I think she is.
I wish that's what my friends from Darien, Connecticut were saying. More likely what they're saying is like, oh, yes, I remember Moby. He was, I remember him. He was my dad's caddy at Weber. And I thought he would accomplish something someday. So,
And you have.
No, but what about the East Village people? Not the Village people, the East Village
I love the
people.
Village people.
who
Do you see any of them?
I do. I go back to New York, but I think a lot of them, those people you're describing, saw me at my worst. Let's say like 2006, like at some bar on the Lower East Side, peeling drugs out from behind a toilet and like crying in my beer, or like sometimes I would get so drunk I'd have to like lie down on the street on like Ludlow Street or Orchard, just sleep for a little while.
Yeah.
So like maybe
one does.
Yeah.
like they're walking home at 3:00 in the morning, like, oh, there's Moby asleep on the sidewalk. Like, since when did he become a homeless crack addict? So I think that has maybe moderated some of their disdain for me. When you see someone like asleep in their own vomit on the sidewalk, it's hard to like resent them too much.
Yeah. Now, tell me this: do you have writing a book is very emotional, and you have to relive your story. Do you know why you, out of all of the people, became so successful?
I think it's a combination of things. One, I truly love what I do. Like, I truly love making music. And I'm happy to make music, whether it sells or not, whether people listen to it or not. Also, there's another really important component. I don't know how to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have backup plans. A lot of musicians or writers or whatever will always have the backup plan. Like, they'll be a musician for a couple of years, but they'll say, oh, if that doesn't work, I'll go back to being an accountant. Or, oh, I really want to be a director, but if that doesn't work, I'll go back to selling real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I literally have never known how to do anything else. So when making music wasn't working out, I had no fallback plan.
Right.
So I just kept doing it, even if it meant, like as was often the case, like living in an abandoned factory in a crack neighborhood, peeing into a bottle because I didn't have indoor plumbing. I was pretty happy because I got to make music.
I love it. We're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, I want to ask Moby what his first 45 orca single.
Oh, you're going to love it.
What his first record he ever bought was. So you guys stay with us. Here's a subject that I never thought I'd be happy to talk about, which is money management.
Yeah,
money management, it takes many years for a person and maturity to really know what to do with your money. That's where Wealthfront comes in. Wealthfront is an automated investment service with nearly $3 billion in client assets under their management. They make it so easy for anyone to get started with a sophisticated, diversified long-term investment portfolio without all the high fees.
And no minimum.
That's
huge.
Now, listen, we've all, if you've ever made any money and if you've done it in portfolio, you know that there are fees involved.
I have to tell you, I got screwed so bad when my first check from the bodyguard came. And this is going back how many years ago? 1992?
Yeah.
So I got a big check and I thought, you can't just put that in the bank. You can't.
Right.
You make some purchases, you do your thing, and then you put the money in the bank. And I thought, I can't just sit here. So I hired somebody. I got so screwed because I didn't realize every time they bought or traded, every single time there was a transaction, and every single time they charged me a fee. By the time my husband came into my life and saw it, he was like, you have lost so much money being, and I didn't even know it because not that I'm stupid, but I'm not really savvy when it comes to money. I don't know what to do with it. I would have just left it sit in a bank.
Well, that's the thing is when you're a young kid and you're starting to make money, you have to actually be out there working you have to make more money, you know?
knew?
So that's where Wealthfront comes in. That's why you go to wealthfront.com/RU and you get started with your new life,
Yes.
with your new relationship to money. Now, you can get your first $15,000 managed for free.
Yes.
If you go to wealthfront.com/RU.
And you guys, they do everything from SEP IRAs to Roth. I know I have Roth IRAs for my kids. They have 401k rollovers, all those LLCs, even nonprofits. And they create an individual investment plan tailored specifically to you that's designed to maximize your long-term after-tax returns. And that's the really important thing. So this is the place to do it. They don't do anything crazy. And like we said earlier, no minimum, 0 commissions on trades. It's all the way to go. So Ru told you, go to wealthfront.com/Ru. You can get your first 15 grand managed for free. Wealthfront.com/RU.
Okay, we are back. We're talking with Moby. Michelle Visage is up in here.
Holla.
I want to know what your first 45. Was it 45 or
7-inch 45.
Okay, what your first 45
And
was?
I'm sure we've both had a lot of experience with 7 inches.
Oh yes,
All three of them.
girth and around is what. Yeah.
So the year was 1974.
Uh-huh.
My friend Ron Little found a $5 bill at the bottom of a sewer drain.
Ooh.
Like we were out walking and he, for some reason, looked down a sewer drain and he saw a $5 bill, which we had never even seen a $5 bill before. And so he took a stick, put gum at the end of it, and went down the sewer drain and got this $5 bill. And then my mom drove us to Bradley's. I don't know if you remember.
Oh my God, of course, Bradley's.
Like the discount store for people who are too poor to shop at discount stores.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
We used to get our shoes at Bradley's.
Yeah,
So
it was-
take it from there.
the sneakers with 5 stripes.
Yes. I know, and I always wanted the 3.
I would actually cut off 2 of the stripes to make it look like I had.
You are way more savvy than I was.
So we went to Bradley's and Ron Little did the most generous thing. He gave me 2 of the $5.
Oh, what a good.
He
What a
kept-
He
mensch.
got 3.
He kept 3 from, but he had found, like, to his credit, he's the one
He
who
found
saw
the-
the
okay,
$5. He gave me $2.
God bless him.
And so I spent $1 on candy and 99 cents on my first 7-inch single, which was Convoy by C.W. McCall.
Oh yeah.
You remember?
Oh
We got a
yes.
rockin' convoy. Ain't she a beautiful
It's the number 1
sight?
song. That was the
Wow.
We
number 1
got-
song.
And they made a movie
Oh, yeah.
with Chris
Chris
Christopherson
Christopherson, yep.
off the success of the single.
Yes.
But I took that 7-inch single home, Convoy, put it on my mom's record player with like little plastic 45
Yes.
spindle, and listened to it 30 times in a row.
Wow.
And what was yours?
My first 45 was the Spinners. Could it be I'm falling in love?
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Mine was
Love it.
Coward of the County
Oh, great.
by Kenny Rogers.
Oh, I love Kenny Rogers.
I think we all kind of lucked out as far as first 7 inches go.
Yeah.
No.
That I bought with my own money.
Yeah, no, it was good. And then I remember I bought the first full-length album I bought. I was obsessed with Cleopatra Jones, the movie with Tamara Dobson. So I bought the soundtrack to Cleopatra Jones. And
I
it
didn't even
had,
know about soundtracks back then.
yeah.
My first full-length album was also a soundtrack,
What was it?
the Live and Let Die soundtrack.
Ooh, Paul McCartney.
Because my mom took me to see Live and Let Die, and I heard the Live and Let Die song,
Yeah.
and it terrified me. It's a really scary song.
Yes.
Because it starts all happy when you were young and
Yeah.
your heart, and then it gets like bum 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 bum
Yeah,
bum, like the
yeah.
scary part, and it scared me so much that we went to some other discount store and they had a cutout version of the Live and Let Die soundtrack, and I took it home and was obsessed
Yeah.
with it.
Well, that was the first sign for your mother that you would be into drugs.
Yeah.
Because the thrill and the fear of, because the movie is actually a scary movie.
and Let Die?
Live and Let Die.
Isn't
is
that
a
James
scary-
Bond?
It's
also-
James Bond.
It's also a blaxploitation movie.
It's also because it's got Yaphet Kotto in it is the villain, and it's got Jeffrey Holder, the Uncola,
Oh, right.
And his name in it is Mr. Big.
Mr. Big.
Ah,
That's right.
I never saw it.
It's a scary James Bond
Never
movie.
been a Bond girl.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
I just never got into it.
It's-
I had to watch the one with Jaws. I don't remember what the one
Yeah,
with
that was
teeth.
the 2. He was in he was in 3. He was in
Oh.
Spy Who Loved Me
No,
and
that's one.
Moonraker.
No.
He was in both of those.
I probably saw both of them
yeah.
because my dad loved them, but
Yeah.
I never
And-
I never got into it.
And what's her name? Who was Solitaire?
That was Dr. Queef Medicine Woman,
And-
Jane
Jane
Seymour.
So I played a fundraiser a couple of years ago, and while I was playing the fundraiser, I looked in the front row, and Jane Seymour was standing there, transfixed by me, and I was like, "This is how has." I actually thought to myself, have I taken some strange psychedelic drug and I'm like passed out in the toilets at the World and imagining all this. That I'm on stage in Los Angeles in 2014 playing a song and Jane Seymour, Dr. Queef Medicine Woman, Solitaire from Live and Let Die, is staring at me with love in her eyes. I was like, what strange universe do I inhabit where this is even a possibility?
You guys are very mature with your musical taste.
Well, but this is the thing. You know,
Mine was
what
Sean Cassidy to do Run Run.
Well, now that was a huge hit too. But this is the thing.
But you're younger than us.
Nah, not much.
Okay.
This is the thing, is that life is that strange drug. You know, once you get off drugs, you find a place to actually, drugs sort of deliver you, if you survive drugs, to that place where you can find the absurdity and weirdness and psychedelic weirdness of life without the drugs. You see what I'm saying? I don't think I could have found that without the drugs. I mean, I loved acid. In fact, from the time I was 21 till probably 29.
Are there different kinds of acid? Or do you go to the drug dealer and just say, I want acid?
Well, see, for me, acid was really, really cheap. I didn't have any money, so $5 a hit was great. So, you know,
So it was a
I
budget
didn't ask.
drug?
You take it and then see if it was good or not, you know. But I would take 4 or 5 hits at a time.
What?
But that was from 21 to 29. I did acid once a week because you have to wait 7 days before it's effective again in the same way.
Otherwise
you know what I mean?
It won't work?
Otherwise, it won't work the same way. You can take
You become
it.
immune to it?
So your body, you don't get the same level of high. So you have to wait 7 days.
Got
you
it.
know. So anyway, all of my 20s, I did acid once a week, 4 or 5 hits a time. But I think because of
How
that,
is it that you're here and
Oh, I
stringing
know.
sentences together?
Don't know.
I'm like, maybe you're
don't
not.
know. Maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm Jane Seymour. You know, Dr. Queef Medicine Woman.
Oh my
How many
God.
times can we say that during this podcast?
Dr. Queef Medicine Woman?
Yeah.
So now we're in double digits at least.
Well, the thing is,
Until the movie gets made.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
the thing is, you find that place. You can find that place. I think, like religion, they've said, is like a raft that takes you over a river of consciousness to the other side, and then you continue on your path. But it's not. You're not. It's like you're not meant to take the raft with you the whole time. It was just to get you here. I feel the same way about drugs. Drug was like a raft that got me over a river, and then I put the raft down. Let the church say amen.
Amen.
And I carry on.
To the mountaintop.
To the mountaintop.
Yeah.
That's right. So, but let's talk about dirty charades again, because the rules are you can only change one word and you cannot change the syllables of the title. And it's the title, it's a known title, but you can only change one word. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
give me a couple. Like, we
okay,
have Dr.
and
Queef
when I
Medicine
say
Woman, which is now
when I
said for
say
the
to you,
15th time.
the Jules Verne's classic 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, what would the Dirty Charades title be?
20. I mean, the obvious pedantic one is, or pedestrian one is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sex.
Or
20,000
Leagues Under the P.
Well,
Under
there's
the
that.
P,
There's that.
Under the, so it has to rhyme with it.
Doesn't
No.
have to.
Okay.
No.
Just sing
Or-
syllables.
Okay, so 20, I feel like there's a
You
great
could say
answer there that
20,000.
I'm
There
not
is.
getting.
There is a great answer.
20,000.
Queefs.
Yeah, that
You
could
could.
work.
You
That could
could.
work. But it's not the same as the one I have in mind.
I know.
The one I have in mind,
Is
20,000 Loads Under the Sea.
oh, that's a good one.
20,000, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good one.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay,
And,
so let's,
and very indicative of my past.
Yes, it is.
So-
In fact, you knew Jules Verne.
Me and Jules go way back.
you did
Way back.
special K at the tunnel.
Way back.
So let me, okay, so what are some other,
Well, my favorite, all-time favorite,
Dr.
all-time
Queef Medicine Woman.
Well, no, that's not my all-time. My all-time favorite is a little musical that a lot of people had success with it. I think June Haver did it and Doris Day did it. They were going to get Judy Garland to do it. But
Stagecoach?
No, it was Annie Get Your Cum.
Annie Get Your Comments?
Annie Get Your Cum was a huge hit.
Judy wasn't available.
She wasn't available for that, but
So this is, I mean, a lot of, back in the heyday of pornography, there were a lot of porn titles that sort of borrowed from this, like Edward Penis Hands.
Yes, exactly.
They still do it.
They still do it, but they're not as good as the
like
one
shaving.
Ryan's Private.
Ryan's
Right.
Privates.
But they're never as good as the ones that we come up with.
No.
My favorite, a friend of mine made a comedy in a sex shop and it was his student film. So I was helping him to make it. So I spent a lot of time in this sex shop.
Fluffing?
I was fluffing a little bit. Yeah. But fluffing has such a pejorative ring to it. I was just like an enthusiastic enabler.
Sure, why
Yes,
not?
of course.
An
you were,
enthusiastic
darling.
erection
Yes.
enabler.
Yeah, which means you didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But during the downtime, I would just read, because this was back in the days of VHS, so I'd read all the titles. My favorite, and you're going to be jealous and you're going to wish you'd thought of this, because I didn't think of it, but Wet Dreams Make Cum. Right?
Well, we'll use that one now on.
I love that.
Yes.
I love it. I have a whole list, and I keep a whole list on my phone. It's usually when I watch Jeopardy that I realize that they will have an answer on Jeopardy. I go, oh my God, that's such a great title for, Fisting Nemo,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is just brilliant.
But I like Fisting Nemo because there's just a visual there.
Yes.
Of poor little Nemo with his stretched out anus.
Yes,
Aw, poor
exactly.
thing.
No, the list goes on and on.
Another fun game, seeing as we're going down this rabbit hole of tangents, is combining movie titles to come up with new movies. Like my favorite, Night at the Museum of Tolerance. Yeah.
I'd go see that.
Yeah.
I love
The
that.
Color Purple Rain.
Ooh.
Yes, I'd see that one too.
Oh, that's really good. See, now that's another charades category for a G-rated crowd, because you can't always say, a
Fisting
fist called
Nemo.
Wanda,
Right.
you can't say that to a lot of people. But see, that's a portmanteau title sort of thing. And I talk about this a lot because, if you're a sweet, sensitive soul, which you are, and super smart, and the stages of consciousness go from anger to being hoaxed by culture and that this is all real, and then to bitterness. And then the next stage after you get out of bitterness is irreverence, and where you can twist a phrase and because you can't take any of this life too seriously. That's what you've realized. So in twisting a title like that, it tickles my brain. I love that. That's what makes life interesting. And I wish what was your mother's name?
Betsy.
I wish Betsy could have hung out with us.
To play inappropriate charades.
Well,
Oh, she
not
would've
only
loved it.
that,
Yeah.
but just find the joy in life, because that's the key. Is you have to, like looking for truffles. A pig sniffing out the truffles.
Truffle
Sophie.
shuffle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truffle shuffle. You have to look for those places in life that give you a tickle, that make you want to get out of bed in the morning.
And for the most part, it's always there. We just have to make the effort to look for it. And
Yeah,
the
well,
more
yeah.
we make the effort to look for it, the easier it becomes to make the effort to look for it.
You have to work at it, though.
And, and it's amazing because as I'm true for a lot of people, like it's so easy for me to find small things that are awful, that I can focus on and that make me miserable. But the whole time I'm doing that, I'm ignoring the millions of other things that are actually really interesting
That's
and
the
good.
ego, our
Like you-
friend, the
yeah.
ego.
Yeah, that's the key to life. And that's why you see Deanna Vreeland and you see her being super, darling, it's marvelous. She's actually forcing the joy. It's like Pollyanna. They said that Pollyanna, how could she be so outgoing and stuff? It's because it's not that she doesn't recognize the darkness. It's that she has chosen to not focus on it. She's chosen to focus on the child of God is innocent rather than guilty.
Well, I had a small epiphany around this.
I went to high school with Epiphany.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, she's a good gal.
She is
got
nice.
braids, got good hair.
Good hair.
Yeah.
Nice weave.
Yeah.
So have you ever been to Boulder, Colorado?
I have.
Okay, so I was in Boulder about 15 years ago, and it was beautiful. Like early October, the leaves are falling. There's Patagonia stores everywhere. I've just had like a glass of organic white tea, and it was so nice. And I was looking around, and this little voice in the back of my head said, "Yeah, but like this isn't real. Like, the Lower East Side, that's real. Like you want grittiness." And I thought to myself, like, life is short. Why not enjoy the leaves blowing down the street and the Patagonia store? Like, wouldn't I rather have like pleasant inauthenticity than awful authenticity? And then once you go further in that, you realize that the awfulness is actually not that authentic.
Right.
Like everything, sort of what you're saying is like everything's equally authentic. It's just what we focus on.
Right, exactly. Half full, half empty.
like-
Both are correct, but one will bring you joy, one will bring you pain.
Well, that old cliche that keeps popping up in lots of movies, but it's still true, is like if there are two wolves, the wolf of, well, I'm going to screw up this metaphor, but like there's like the wolf of anger and the wolf of love, and they're fighting. Which one wins? The one that you feed.
Right.
You know?
Right. Boom. Boom shakalaka. I love it. The book is called Porcelain. It's probably by the time this is on, it's probably available right now.
And it's New York from 80. My experience in New York City from 89 to 99.
Lots of pictures.
There's a bunch of pictures, and you can tell it's old because in most of the pictures I still have hair.
But you're nude. Now, are you doing an audio version of this book?
I did the audio version myself, yeah.
Oh, so it's going to be on audible.com, which is one of our friends. Say it out loud for me, producer.
Offer code RU.
Yeah, that's right. You just go to audible.com, offer code RU, and you get a gorgeous discount.
Yeah.
To get Moby's book called Porcelain.
Love audiobooks.
I love audiobooks. And did you say it give us a sample of how sexy your voice is when you're reading it.
Hi, my name is Moby. My book is called Porcelain. And there's a lot of real interesting stuff that happens in this book. And like, for example, I do things, and it's kind of cool.
That is so great.
Sexy. I mean,
We're
people are just
touching
like,
ourselves just
people
listening.
are jerking
wanna-
off left and right.
Yeah.
So
I
I can
gotta
just
put that in the
smell
wank
the
bank.
juices.
I
Yeah.
gotta get this book. The Wank Bank, is that what you said?
Put that in the wank
I
bank.
love that. I'm going
Yeah.
to get this book called Porcelain by Moby. Thank you for being on our
Oh, this
podcast.
was fun.
It's fun.
Really, really fun.
Really fun. You've got to come back and we can play dirty charades. And by that time, I'll send you a list of my favorite.
Well, I'm just going to, I get a little obsessive. So it's safe to say that until we next see each other, that's pretty much all I'm going to think about.
What
love
else
it.
is there
Love
to
it.
think about?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, that's it. So until next time, thank you so much, Moby.
so
Thank you,
fun.
Michelle
Thank
Visage.
you. Always, darling.
All of our New York memories.
Is Visage your actual last name?
No.
Named after like Steve Strange?
Named after my
Right.
face.
Okay. Do you remember Steve Strange and Visage?
Yes.
Yes.
Fade
of
to gray.
course.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to ask. Do you remember that? We remember all of that.
Okay.
Now,
Because
do I?
we old too.
Do I remember where I parked my car? No, that I don't. But I remember.
Do you remember my
Visage.
children's names?
No, I have never known you. I didn't know you had
remember-
children.
I do.
Yeah. So until next time.
And I also feel like very honored. I didn't know that you have this remarkable musical history and pedigree.
Oh, that's
I'm
just
in
the
the presence
beginning.
of a superstar.
That's the beginning.
Oh.
She wrote on the Bodyguard soundtrack. She was in that group called Soul System. They rapped on top of Bill Withers'
Lovely
Day. Huge hit. Bought her
Well, you
parents a
probably spun
condo
that.
with
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You probably spun that.
Yeah.
Well-
It just goes way back.
Aw,
I'm very honored. Thank you.
Yes.
sweetheart. Thank
Well,
you.
until next time, Moby, Michelle, bye.
Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
And don't forget to
subscribe on
iTunes.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen.